to the What Really Happened radio show. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Monday, April 27th, 2015, start of a brand new week. We have got lots to talk about today. Phone lines are open, 877-300-7645, 877-300-7645. Tom is in our control room ready to answer the phone when you call on in. I want to get the Nepal earthquake information out of the way, and then we're going to be talking about Baltimore. This thing is obviously being fanned up, and frankly, I smell a big, fat USDA choice rat on this situation. Now, as you know, over the weekend, Nepal was hit with a 7.9 magnitude quake and a series of major aftershocks. According to media in the region, the death toll is already above 4,000. What we have here, let's see, 944 in Sindapalchwak, 913 in Kathmandu, 299 in Dading, 234 in Bhaktapur, 422 in Nuwakot, 223 in Gorkha, 193 in Kavre, 155 in Lilliputtur, 150 in Rusawa, 65 in Dolaka, 33 in Malwanpur, 26 in Ramachap, 16 Kotang and Okadanga each. And I'm sure they haven't found all of them. Almost 7,000 reported wounded, major emergency effort underway. And as you heard on the SRN, there was a U.S. military unit in the area. U.S. is sending in all this aid, which is a good thing to do. But I have to ask, why, if the U.S. has the resources to go in and help the earthquake victims in Nepal, why they couldn't be bothered to get the Americans out of the war zone in Yemen? Because possibly they wanted some bloody shirts to wave to support a U.S. ground invasion of Yemen. Meanwhile, some bad news from Mount Everest, because apparently the main quake and some of the aftershocks have triggered avalanches there. 22 Mount Everest climbers are known dead at this time. Another 200 missing, probably because they're finding their own way out of the region from the base camp. One of the supporters of our show here, their daughter was on the mountain, but the last word we've got is she's okay and is making her way out with her associates as well. It's a very dangerous place up there. All righty, let's see. Now, I want to get on to Baltimore. This thing is being fanned up here. Maryland governor sends state troopers as protest mount over police murder of Freddie Gray. Now, over the weekend, Al Jazeera was covering this, and they made a point of saying that for the most part, the demonstrations were peaceful. The violence is confined to a very tiny area, coincidentally, right in front of the U.S. media cameras. This is feeling like a made-up situation. Now, there's actually a video where the Baltimore mayor is saying that she made sure the police gave space for those who wanted to destroy. They want to cause damage, back up and let them do that. And it looks like this is another one of these efforts to try and provoke nationwide race riots, leading to a declaration of a national emergency, martial law, suspension of what's left of the Bill of Rights, gun confiscation. We know that the Rodney King riots were a staged setup by agent provocateurs, Operations Cable Splice and Garden Plot. We saw that when the whole Trayvon Martin George Zimmerman case was coming down, and the media was the whole week before the Zimmerman verdict, if he's acquitted, there'll be riots across the country, and there weren't, because everybody knew that's what the government wanted. We know that the Department of Justice actually admitted sending agitators in there to support the protesters, and they did the same thing in Ferguson. They did the same thing in the aftermath of Eric Garner. And now we're up here in Baltimore seeing exactly the same thing. Now, we are seeing reports from the people in Baltimore that the people causing the violence are total strangers. They're from out of town. They don't live in Baltimore. We heard the exact same thing in Ferguson. The people who were there smashing windows and wrecking cars and causing the violence don't live there. They're agent provocateurs. Now, of course, the media is out there saying there's a credible threat from the Baltimore gangs. They're going to take out the police officers. This has justified sending in SWAT officers. And I was listening on the live feed of the Baltimore Police Radio, and it's just push, 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 confront, confront, confront. We even had another story over here about these Department of Justice consultants, these two protesters, the best protesters in history, the media is calling them, that were leading the violence in Ferguson. Now they're on the ground in Baltimore. And there's a YouTube video we put up at whatreallyhappened.com. The media is full of pictures of this woman who's getting her purse snatched. It turns out this same woman, that same purse snatcher, that same purse were photographed multiple times in different parts of Baltimore. It's a staging. It's another crisis actor. And I'm saying this because to everybody out there, right now the U.S. government would love to have an excuse to suspend the Bill of Rights, start gun confiscation, shut down what's left of our freedom of speech. They're certainly trying to spin this to make the police look like they're heroic and not to blame for this. And gosh darn it, those protesters, they deserve to have their necks broken anyway. Do not fall for it. This is Kent State all over again. Kent State was a peaceful protest against the war in Vietnam. Undercover FBI informant fired a starting pistol, and that allowed the National Guard to fire into the protesters. This is a repeating pattern. Do not fall for it. The U.S. government wants riots. They can use them to take away what's left of your rights and freedoms. We're going to grab ourselves a phone call here. We're going to go to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I wanted to just, for the earthquake, my prayers go out for the survivors over there and the people there, and hopefully maybe you can get some real help from the Russians or the Chinese, because, you know, we're helping people on one end of the earth and bombing people on the other. Does that make sense?
It really doesn't. And like I said, the contrast where the U.S. is getting ready to go into Nepal with all of this aid here, and yet the Americans who are trapped under the Saudi offensive in Yemen were just told, you're on your own, get out, and the Russians are evacuating them. And those Americans are very angry. And I think the reason is the U.S. wanted the Yemenites to start grabbing Americans and killing them in order to build support for a U.S. ground invasion, because the Saudi ground invasion is already running into trouble. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
And, the Baltimore thing is a classic divide and conquer strategy. This is all orchestrated by, like, the George Soros and other people to fan the flames, just like the Ukrainian Maiden. Same thing.
Yeah, it really is, and they're trying desperately to make this a racial issue, black versus white, and it isn't. What has provoked these confrontations in all these cities is police brutality. And that's exactly what's going on here. And they're trying to come out there and say, well, see, there's a reason the police have to be brutal, because look at how evil those American people have become. That's what they're trying to do out there.
I wanted to mention, is Greece and Russia supposed to have a meeting tomorrow? Because I remember hearing that last week that there might be a meeting between them two tomorrow.
I heard word of it. I don't have any more details about it, but I'm sure, Russia's rolling out the red carpet to Greece right now. And, Greece needs a lifeline, and Putin's got his hand on the rope.
Yeah, we're in Rome territory now, though. You can see with all these riots, it's what a mess.
Yeah, in the time of Caligula. That's how wacko our government has become. Okay, anything? And
we're all going to pay for it, Mike. We're all going to pay for it.
We're already paying for it. We're already suffering under this new American empire. And it's unfortunately going to get worse before it gets better.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for the phone call. All right, we're coming up on a commercial break. I'm watching the feed. They're talking about stores are closed in downtown Baltimore because of the threat of violence. They've got the police out there with their body shields and everything. Apparently some of the agent provocateurs are throwing rocks at them, just trying to fan this situation up. Yeah, just like we saw in Maidan, just like we saw in Ferguson, just like we saw in the Zimmerman, Trayvon Martin case, just like we saw in Los Angeles back during Rodney King. This is how you start a riot for political gain, and that's exactly what I think is going on in Baltimore right now. We'll be back after these few words.